Hi, everyone. Grab a virtual seat, as I always say. Grab a throne, grab whatever you like. It's virtual. We got an awesome educational session today. And, you know, community, I always say this, but I'm excited because we have an amazing expert. Not only has he led his own really successful real estate team, but he built a tool that's helping a lot of agents and brokers. And before we go into introducing Ryan and Fello, as people kind of come in, what is your market looking like right now? Are the summertime, springtime leads coming in? Is it just hot off the get-go? Are you having trouble re-engaging? Because we say this every year, but this market is unprecedented. With administrative changes, interest rates, the Fed, all that. Buyers not knowing, now's the right time. This year things could flip. So kind of interested to hear what what they're seeing in their market, and definitely relevant to what Ryan's going to talk about today. So Fello's tool, and I guess like Ryan, you can probably say better than I can, but it's kind of like an AI nurturing tool that sits on top of your CRM to kind of like tap into those dormant leads and turn them into listings. Would you say that's generally what Fello does?
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like we'll jump into kind of like, I'm gonna run you guys through my real estate team, like a big playbook on how we're generating listings. Fello is a key component of it. I feel like our databases are a really large asset, and we under monetize them, we under leverage them, and Fello was kind of the activation layer for us, for the young team, generating a lot of the listings that we generate. And I'll kind of talk to you guys more about that. But I am curious because I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Arlene said bogged down by snow. We're getting absolutely dumped on out here. Like if you were to look outside right now, we got like a couple feet of snow in the past week. Hot market in the Mid-Atlantic. Throw some comments in the chat. What's your guys' market looking like? Is spring market already stepped up? Are you guys already starting to see spring market tendencies? I was at a young team meeting this morning, and it seems like we're a little bit slower on our listings going to market. So we're starting to have a lot of conversations, but just kind of curious, everyone else out there, is your market, throw where you're at, and are you already starting to see like spring picking up? I joined, my mom's been in real estate for like 40 years, and she used to always say spring market starts right after Super Bowl Sunday. So who knows, maybe next Monday will be like the jumping off point or whatever. Miguel said slower, starting to pick up. Yeah, I kind of same. Matt said hot market in Mid-Atlantic. Kenneth said slow. Michael said seems to be waking up. So cool. Yeah, I'm curious, more buyers than this time last year in SoCal? Oh, interesting. So Eastern Maryland is starting to pick up. So yeah, once again, I think that'll be really interesting, us as a community, of just what is the pulse right now. And we'll talk a little bit about that when I'm running through some different strategies. I'm in Henry County, Georgia, and our market is starting to pick up. So I think we're all kind of in that same place, except for a couple people maybe in the Mid-Atlantic that said that are still in a hot market. It seems like we're probably all right now in this like transition period of like out of the holidays, where if you're in the Northeast like me, you're getting a lot of snow. You're kind of waiting for like spring market to kind of like pop off. We're going to talk through some strategies that'll hopefully help you start really like building your spring market inventory and start putting plans into action so that you can dominate this upcoming spring market. And we're going to talk about it and how we do it through leveraging the opportunities in our database. So if it's cool with you guys, and Nicholas, is it cool if I jump in and kind of share some?
Yeah. The only thing I was going to add to that is, the sold.com leads, they're not dormant leads. Like they're not hot leads. They're kind of leads that take time. So even, those of you that said you have a slower market, sold.com leads that you have access to can be nurtured now. It's about building that relationship, reaching out, keeping top of mind. So there definitely is still work to be done, even if the listing is not happening right now or even in the next few months. So
100%.
Yeah.
And guys, just so you know, the Young team, we have thousands of sold.com leads and we convert them. And I want to set realistic expectations to what that looks like. And I'll kind of walk you through this as well. So let's jump in. Let's have some fun. Go ahead. Give me a follow on social, on Instagram. I actually just yesterday posted a 5-star Google review playbook that is like absolute cranks. I actually have this for you guys at the end of this presentation. I'm trying to give back to the community as much as I can. So give me a follow. Ryan Young Fello is my IG. A little bit about the Young team. The Young team is the number 15 large team in the state of Ohio, or number 1 large team in the state of Ohio. Number 15 large team classified by Real Trends in US based on the most recent Real Trends rankings. So I'm really proud of the fact that, I built a product called Fello for our industry, but I still have a team that is actively running a real estate business, dealing with the same challenges that a lot of us are dealing with, trying to push through. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Young team's business, because I feel like the one thing I don't want to ever be looked at is like a vendor that's trying to monetize our industry. I would actually prefer to be looked at as one of us in the industry, and hopefully trying to help us all, get better, right? So what's the one thing that most profitable teams do differently? You're going to see there's a lot of core consistency within the way I talk about the Young team, about Fello. The more you can start looking at your database as an asset, the more profit you are going to make. I'm going to say that again, because I think this is like just such an important concept that it took me a while with the Young team to really gravitate towards, but now it's become very consistent. And I'm going to show you guys some numbers that hopefully validates that. The one consistent thing that you see with a lot of very profitable teams and businesses is they turn their database into listing machines. They look at their database as a large asset. I am curious, for everyone who's on the call, throw in the comments how many contacts you have in your database. Unassigned, assigned, that have a that you've talked to, that you haven't talked to. This is not just past clients. How many contacts do you have in your database? I'm just kind of curious on so Miguel said a couple thousand, can work with that. Nick, 3,400 in FUB, can definitely work with that. This is where we are going to be driving with the strategies I'm going to walk you guys through. This is going to be where the strategies that I'm walking you through is tapping into these 2,500. Jeanette said too many. I need to get better at managing. Brad, 1,200. Mark, 500. If you have, I would say, less than 1,000 contacts in your database, your number one priority shouldn't be focusing on how you get more out of those contacts. Your number one focus should be building your database, because your database should ultimately print listings for you. And I'm going to show you how the Young team does that. Arlene, 3,400. Matt, not enough. That's all right. Hey, Matt, super easy. Just real quick, and I'll kind of bounce around a little bit. If you all go to your phones, you go to contacts. Here are my contacts. You scroll all the way down at the bottom, right? And it shows you a number. Mine says 5,333 or 5,533. Go get them into your database. If you have friends on Facebook, go get them into your database. If you're in a community or a homeowners association and they give you a homeowners association guide with all of your other neighbors, go get them into your database. If your kids have a PTA pamphlet that gives all the other parents contact information, go put that in your database. I'm not saying spam your database, but build your database very intentionally, and you will see it's going to lead to this listing machine. All right. So this is the Young team's business. I just want to walk you guys through this. We have 15 agents, and this is super, super, super important. Let me go back there. And I know this is really small. I'm going to kind of articulate what this says, but this is really important to understand why we run the business that we run. We have 15 agents and we sell about 450 to 500 homes a year. Our business historically is between 55 and 65% listings to 35 to 45% buyers. Okay. We are always listing heavy. We don't do Zillow leads. We don't do buyer leads, realtor.com buyer leads. We don't do any of that. We like sellers. And one of the reasons why we like sellers and why we have a great relationship with sold.com is because, and it's really hard to see here, but if you look at, I kind of extracted, our average listing commission was $13,000 and my average buyer commission was $9,100. And if you look back year over year, and I got to update this with some more, 24 and 25, look at how much higher my listing commissions are compared to my buyer commissions. Now, if you are currently running a team where your buyer commissions are higher than your listing commissions, first off, I applaud you. Now that the market has changed with the commission settlement, our average buyer commission has started to creep up now that we're actually controlling it versus it being dictated to us by the listing agent. But we have still always done a really good job at having control of how much we generate on the listing side. And where this is really powerful, if you're a team leader, is, and once again, I know this is really small. I don't think I can zoom in on this, but what you can't see here is this shows you how much the agents on our team are actually paying in. And so I have agents that last year paid $309,000. They made about $150,000 to $200,000, 152, 460, 146, 162, 197, 171, 110. The reason why I'm saying this is we have a 70-30 split on our listings. The agent gets 30%, we take 70%. A lot of times when people see this and they're like, well, why would one agent pay you $460,000 if they're only going to make $250,000? Because I can consistently produce listing opportunities for them that they wouldn't have on their own. So the logic behind your database should consistently producing listings. What the Young team does is built a really big database and we work it really hard and we ultimately produce listing opportunities for our agents. And because of that, I have a lot more leverage when it comes to the conversations of splits. If you can see in this top corner and you look at some of my agents' production, 19 million, 28 million, 14 million, 14 million, 11 million. We have agents that are selling 10, 15, 20, $30 million a year that have been with us for 6, 7, 8 years. And I think a big misconception of our industry around teams especially is if an agent is going to do 25, 30 million, why would they ever stay with you? Why wouldn't they just go out on their own and take 100% of their commission? Once again, because I can consistently drive them listings out of our database that they wouldn't have had. And I'm going to walk you through that framework on how we do so. Before we do though, I just want, and I know this is kind of, I would say pretty logical, but I just want to reiterate the importance of not only our average commission is higher on listings, our average split is bigger on listings, but look at the amount of time it takes. When you're a buyer agent, you get a new lead, they want to go see a home, you show them a home, it's not the right one, then you go back to your office, and then 3 days later, you go show them 2 more homes, and you finally find one that they like. Now they want to go back for a second showing, bring the folks, bring the whoever, right? They like it, you go back, you write the offer on the property. I don't write it as the listing agent. You write the offer. You send it over to the listing agent. We negotiate a deal. We have it under contract. Then you go to the inspection. If there is one, you sit there for a couple hours. Then you do the final walkthrough. If there is one, you go back to the house. You've been back to the house or with the buyers and you've left your office 6, 7, 10, some buyers 20 times, right? Think about how much more efficient the listing side is. On the listing side, my team normally goes to the house once, maybe twice for a second appointment. But after you go to the house, you never go back. Then you get paperwork signed. You go back to the office. The way our team is structured is we have a listing coordinator that processes the paperwork, coordinates the courier to get the sign out, the lockbox, etc. My listing agent basically goes to the house once. Then they negotiate the deal when the other agent writes an offer and sends it to them. Sure, they maintain the relationship with the seller, but they do that from the office or from their house or from on vacation. And then they negotiate a deal, right? And so it's like when you look at the amount of time you invest on the seller side, it is so much more efficient. It's such a higher return on your time when you can start generating listings consistently, okay? This is a really profound stat, and I'm going to show you how I know this in just a little bit, but 7% of your database is going to list their home this year. And so Arlene with 3,400 people, that's like 100 listings coming on market. Darrell with 5,000 people, that's like 350 listings, right? Arlene, sorry, my math was awful on that. 34, 340, that's like 250. Trelise with 1,000, that's 70 listings. Edward with 2,800 plus, once again, we're at like 200-ish listings. Guys, there are listings happening in your database almost every day. When you have those big of databases, these sold.com leads are selling. Fello actually notifies you every day of homeowners in your database that are listing their homes. And I'll show you some of the ways that we do that. 7% of your database is listing their home. So when I say I'm consistently producing listings for my team members, it's because I built a really big database and I'm working the database and kicking off a significant amount of opportunities. All right. So why do we as agents struggle with this methodology of our database is valuable? And my friends at sold.com, who I love, are going to kill me, but we have a sickness within our industry. It is this dopamine response to getting new leads, and it's a problem, and it's unrealistic to actually scaling your business. When you get a new lead, it's exciting. You look at that opportunity as a paycheck, right? I got a new lead, I'm going to close it. Then you call them, and what happens? They don't pick up the phone. Then maybe you call them again, maybe you don't, maybe you never call them, maybe you shoot them a text and they don't respond, or maybe you call them and they say, I'm not ready to sell, I just want to know my home value, or whatever they inquired on. We all of a sudden get really depressed when that opportunity that we got really excited about, we thought was going to turn into a transaction, didn't pick up their phone, and then we start to go down the other side. And then all of a sudden we get a new lead and we just immediately pop back over and get excited on that lead, and they don't pick up the phone, or they say they're not ready, and then we go down. And it's a really bad operational way to scale your business when you're chasing new leads. Nicholas said, guys, if you have a sold.com lead, sometimes they're not bottom of funnel. Some of the leads you generated 6 months ago are getting ready to transact. He's spot on. You have to have a follow-up strategy that's going to help you essentially cultivate and incubate these opportunities for a long enough period of time. So 90% of agents spend their time on hot new leads, yet only 30% of those leads are ready to transact in 6 months. Now, 30% of those leads are ready to transact. That means you got to get them on the phone. It's not saying 30% of those leads are ready to transact with you. 30% of those leads you called once, but they never picked up, and then you moved on to the next lead. So if you were to just obsessively call every one of the leads you got, there's a high probability that 30% of those are going to market, right? But unfortunately, we make the first phone call and then we move on to the next lead, or we get busy, or we go out on appointments, or we put out a fire because a deal has fallen apart, or a bad inspection, or whatever it may be. So we are going to show you some framework ultimately to build some foundational framework for you to build within your business that's going to help you start incubating more of these leads on autopilot. All right. So a top team takes data, a new lead, enriches it with data. I'm going to show you what that's about. Then they create very targeted segment and they automate nurturing so that they don't let that lead slip through the cracks. And then there's real-time accountability. An average team or an agent will take a lead, they'll call once, they'll follow up, and then they don't get a response, and then they get a new lead, and they go right back into this vicious cycle. Once again, this is kind of a little bit cleaner way to look at the chaos on the right and kind of this very intentional funnel on the left. So what most people don't realize is that a lot of our databases, when you're looking at 3,400, 5,000 contacts, 1,000, 2,800, 2,500, too many, a lot of them have all these hidden sellers that you didn't even know were there. And one of the things that Fello kind of put on the map was this data enrichment. And so a lot of our leads databases are built on buyer leads. And what Fello, first thing we do is we take those buyer leads and we identify any of their addresses. And once we identify their address, we identify the probability that they actually own the home. All right. It's called this owner match intelligence. Teams companies are shocked when they sign up for Fello and all of a sudden they push their database through and it's like we turn the lights on your database or who are actually there. What's even more shocking to them is once we identify who actually is a homeowner, we also enrich those contacts with MLS data, public record data. So we also show you who's actively on the market out of all the homeowners in your database. And imagine how frustrating it becomes when all of a sudden we take this database that you haven't worked, 3,400, 5,000 people, you push it through Fello, and all of a sudden we enrich it with all these addresses and all this MLS data and public record data. And we notify you that of your database, there's currently 87 people actively on the market. And you're just looking for one listing. And little did you know that you actually had a significant amount of listings sitting in your database. And the reason why they don't convert is because a lot of the contacts are just outdated. They don't have appropriate information. And so when you kind of look at this slide and these images, we really work hard to find the accurate information for each of these contacts so that you get the most amount of value out of each contact. A lot of people think that 7% number is really high. When I'm like, hey, if you have 1,000 contacts, there's 70 listings in your database every year. Most people are like, that's crazy. There's no way. But if you don't know all their accurate addresses, how do you know whether they're on the market or not, right? If you don't know if they own a home or not, how do you know that they are actively listed, they just sold, they just bought? And so what Fello does is just gives you all this insights of who's actually in your database. So you can start seeing in real time, oh, this person just bought and moved into a new home. Oh, this person just listed their home. Now, the goal is once you take that information, some people are like, but how does that help me generate listings? The goal, yes, Sandy, I'd love to get you these slides. The goal is essentially to get you this information, but for us to start finding similar people like the people that transacted that haven't transacted yet. And I'm going to run you guys through some strategies on how you do so. So this is kind of the process. This is what the journey looks like for the young team. This is why we built Fello. Fello syncs your CRM, pushes all your data in from your CRM. It then enriches all those contacts immediately. It's like a total game changer. It just changes the way you look at your database. It's absolutely mind-blowing. To me, I find it fascinating. Then what we do is we automate outreach on behalf of your brand, all white labeled, to start engaging with the contacts now that we found information. So for example, if Sandy was a buyer lead in my database and all of a sudden she gets pushed into Fello and it turns out that Sandy lives at 123 Main Street, Sandy's going to start getting messaging about homes that have recently sold around 123 Main Street and her home value around 123 Main Street and all kinds of other really compelling messaging that's personalized to her. The key is personalized outreach, and I'm going to show you some ways to do so, whether you use Fello or you don't. And then ultimately, we show you with accountability, with data on who's listing in your database every day so that it gives you some transparency and visibility of actually what's happening. And then it gives you a little bit of accountability of the lost opportunities. That's a game changer for our team. We look at every lost opportunity as a learning lesson. What would we have done differently if we knew they were going to transact? And then it's just this flywheel, right? Someone moves, address gets updated, we start marketing to them to their new address, and then we keep working them until either we list them or someone else lists them. Then they move, we update their address. This all happens in Fello simultaneously, okay? So first you sync your CRM, pretty simple. It just sucks up all the data and starts talking. And then obviously this enrichment of segmentation. I really like having a concept on database quality, and this is going to change the way you look at your database when I show you how we look at the young team. I don't expect a lot of you to have this information, but I want you to think how powerful this information is when you do have it. So the young team has about 80,000 contacts in our database. It's taken us a very long time to build that, but that is what we obsess over, okay? We don't buy new leads. We obsess over building our database. We do so by doing a bunch of community events. We do a bunch of giveaways. We reach out to our clients and ask for referrals. We sponsor a bunch of events, and we do fun things on how we can capture their leads, how we can capture contact information, right? We obsess over building our database. And then once we've built our database, then I enrich it with all this information. And I just want you to see the granularity. When I talk about, and I'll just really quickly go back up to this right here, look at the amount of listings we did in this was 2025. We did 345 listing agreements signed, which led to 272 listings agreements under contract. which led to 266 listings closed. All right. With 15 agents, the only way for us to do that, as I go back down here, is to actually understand who is in our database. All right. We have 52,000 people in our database that we have a high confidence are homeowners. So when I say I've got 15 agents selling 450 to 500 homes a year, and 55% of those are listings, well, I have 52,000 homeowners in my database that every day I'm working. I have automated marketing going to them, right? I'm working them really hard to get them to raise their hand, and then we have a conversation. We create engagement, then we have a conversation. Now, if you're thinking I only have 3,400, like that, you have 20 times more than me. I have a large team. We've been building this over time. This didn't happen overnight. The key is I wish I would have started doing this earlier on when I had 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. I didn't realize the value of my database until I started getting to about 30, 40,000, where we really started enriching with information and identifying who's there. I wish I would have started this earlier and built this muscle and these habits, because it has completely changed my business. It's completely changed the profitability of what I do. Okay. What's really cool about Fello is, so I can break down who owns a home. So I have 52,000 homeowners. Then when I look at, I have 27,000 homeowners under 250,000 because we enrich with property data. I have 24,000 that are between 250 and 500, 4,200 between 500 and 750, so on and so forth. I've got a lot of really good data on these homeowners. I have a lot of good data on how long these homeowners have been in their homes. 13,000 people in my database have been in their homes between 14 and 20 years. 4,800 have been in their homes for over 20 years. If we all had to go generate listings today, right, and we need to find the highest intent homeowners in our database, I can promise you, if I start having conversations with people that have been in their home for over 20 years, they're going to be warm conversations. Not all of them are going to want to move, but I'm sure some of them would be open to it or considering it. And if you bring them an opportunity, whether it's a buyer off market, or you can do a cash offer, or you can talk to them about recent homes that have sold, this is where all the leverage is I have all this information, and this helps me identify who I should be reaching out to. If I sell, the other day, we were talking about this. We just put a listing under contract in a community right by us, around 350. It was in a multiple offer situation. I think there was 12 or 13 offers, sold for 50 grand over asking. I'm reaching out to the people in my database in that price point and sending them a message. I'm not sending them to people that don't live in that city and that live in $1 million home. That message is completely irrelevant. I'm getting very granular on the messaging I'm sending out. And I say this because if you don't have this data, while I know I'm getting a little bit more sophisticated in our approach, if you don't have this data, it's really hard to get started on who I should be communicating with for calling sellers. Maybe you guys just feel like I'm calling sellers blind and I don't know who I should call and who I should prioritize. Maybe call the people that don't have a mortgage on their property, because you know that they don't have a 3% interest rate, and therefore you don't have to deal with an objection of saying, Ryan, I would love to sell my home, but I don't want to lose my 3% interest rate that I refied back in 2020. Well, let's call people that have been in their home for over 20 years, people without a mortgage, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, look at how much data and information I have, which really creates a lot of high intention on how we approach reaching out to our database. So then we start to automate, and this is what Fello does. Fello is going to start sending out emails, and we really focus on top of funnel first and trying to get very generic messaging to start creating a relationship with your brand and the recipient. Okay. So like newsletters and different type of content that's kind of relevant to everyone, that doesn't imply they're motivated or getting ready to sell. We do all kinds of fun stuff. Then we start moving down to consideration phase, and I start to get a little bit more granular, but assuming that it's still low intent. This is where I start really leaning into like home value messaging. It's personalized to the homeowner at their address, but it's not implying that they want to sell their home. So I start off very low touch, and you don't need Fello to do this, but you should start creating some sort of relationship in your database with you being a sender, them being a recipient, and you providing them something of substance, right? Something, hey, recent events that are happening in Northeast Ohio, new restaurants that just opened up, how interest rates just dropped under 6% and how that impacts your home value or the market. New laws that just passed, things that are relevant to homeowners that or to your database. Interest rates are relevant to buyers and sellers. Things that are going on are relevant to everyone that lives locally. You really want to build this muscle of getting into a consistent place where you're sending messaging from your brand and they're opening them. Because then when we want to start getting a little bit more high intent, like the bottom of funnel, as people are starting to engage, then we can start getting into the high intent messaging, like get a cash offer. Ready to sell? Consider free consultation. Is staging, is it worth it before you sell your homes? 3 things to know before you list your home. How your neighbor's home sold fast and for top dollar. One of the things that's really important is I look at this list, I'm identifying who on this list is high intent because of this data. Sandy said, how do you get this data? Is there a specific procedure? Sandy, I literally just sync it into Fello, and I'll show you, I'll walk you through it at the end. I literally just sync it into Fello, and all of a sudden you can see your entire database with this data. That's how it works. And then it starts automating based off of it. It's what Fello does. So then we start working them down the funnel to start getting high intent homeowners to raise their hand with more compelling, higher motivation type of messaging, right? Check out what your net proceeds would be if you were to sell your home today. Check out all our selling options, whatever it may be. All right. Then all of a sudden we go into the accountability of actually reaching out to these people that are engaging and holding our team members essentially accountable by conversion. So what we do is we essentially look at every day, we get notified in Fello of any listing that went on our went to market with or without us. And if it went without us, we go into the team member's account and we basically start looking at, did you reach out to them? How many times did you reach out? Did you follow our process? Did you have a conversation with them? Did you set an appointment? How can we coach our team members to better help them navigate when we lose an opportunity to help them convert more of them? The biggest challenge with most of our databases, when you're talking about some of these bigger databases of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 size database, there's no way, first off, you don't even know who the homeowners are, let alone you have no idea who's listing their home, because you can't sit there and look at the MLS all day and remember your entire database and try to match it up to homes that are going on in the market. So Fello essentially notifies you every day of saying, hey, here's the opportunities that you just lost, here's who they listed with, and then you can start to have some accountability around it, okay? So real quick, I wanna make sure before I move on to next topic of just a little bit of bonus on this whole strategy of you sync your CRM or you enrich your CRM with data, right? Which helps you start to get segmented. You don't need to use Fello to do this. It's just a very heavy manual process. If you don't, this is how Fello started. I used to manually do this for every contact that came in. I would use third-party software that was provided by our MLS for safety. And I would go in one after another and identify their home and see if they're the homeowner. And literally it would take me like probably 5 to 10 minutes per contact, per new lead. Fello does it instantaneously, right? Once you enrich your data with all this database, you start to get very granular and automate messaging. So Fello starts to send all this really cool white labeled messaging in front of your brand into the sellers or into the home, into your database. It starts to create all of this engagement, right? And then it's your responsibility, once there's engagement, to start having conversations with them and start getting notified and start looking at the data of how are you converting, right? If you don't know the opportunities you're losing, you'll never know your true conversion on contacts you're talking to. And so it's this very clean cycle of how the young team consistently pops off listings out of our database almost daily. It's like Fello's enriching, then Fello's creating engagement, then the young team has conversations with the most engaged and all the highest intent people based off of data points. And then ultimately we close them, or we lose out on the opportunity, but we get notified when we lose the opportunity so we can focus our effort on the next person. All right. Before I move into the next topic, anyone have any questions? Feel free to throw them in the chat around just how the young team approaches kind of this listing strategy, how we generate these opportunities out of our database. Sandy, did that make sense on the data? Like literally you just sync Fello in and it populates your database with the data, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. Any questions for me? If anyone is still out there, if I haven't lost all you, If not, I will move on to, yes, thank you. Cool. All right. All right, let me move on to a little bonus content for you guys. What is the price, Miguel? Great question. It basically ranges around the amount of context that you have in your database. And so we're going to put up a little promo for you to get like accurate pricing on it right at the end. I will say this though, the ROI on it is like a no-brainer. One listing from Fello pays for it for years. It's like, it works really nicely with the sold.com leads that you're generating. It's like we take those sold.com leads, we suck them in, we enrich them with data, we start automating them. And it's like friggin' beautiful. Is Fello a CRM, or does it work hand in hand with our CRM XFub? James, I'm curious, it connects with your CRM. What's your new CRM now that you're not using FUB? While he's answering that, the young team uses Follow Up Us, but I'm just kind of curious with the CRM. Do you clean up databases also? Oh, you do use FUB. Oh, example FUB. I thought you meant XFub, like I don't use it. Yeah, we have a native integration. It's super clean. I'll show you guys a little peek at what that looks like. I use FUB as well. It literally pushes the data back and forth. So it's like a partner to your CRM. Does Fello work better with any certain CRM or just all? It works with all CRMs. Basically, we use Zapier, so it kind of pushes and pulls the data back and forth. When someone engages in Fello, it pushes it right back over to your Follow Up Boss account or to whatever CRM you're using. Where does the content come from to send to the database? So this is really cool, Darlene. You guys are kind of here at the perfect timing. Fello first started with just home value messaging. Then it went to home value and cash offer messaging. Then it went to home value, cash offer, and home sales, recent home sales, et cetera, all seller messaging. So we have all these automated templates that are already built for you, and it turns on an autopilot. What we're about to be launching, though, in less than 30 days now, is this full-on email builder that's like a MailChimp caliber email builder, where not only can you use all of our pre-built automations, which are amazing, we have hundreds of them, buyers, sellers, recruiting automations, et cetera, you can also build all your own content and send directly to whoever you want as well, besides using the automation. So we're going to give you hundreds of pieces of content for you to send out, and you can choose, turn it on automation, press one button, and all of a sudden it starts sending out, which is totally optimized. But you can also, in supplement, send out very granular messaging of like, hey, I just listed a home. Hey, I just did one the other day in my account where it was, we have some buyers that are looking at a certain zip code. So I pulled a segment. You guys see all that data I have. I pull a segment of all the homeowners I have in that zip code. And I basically created an email in Fello and just sent it only to them saying, I have a buyer looking for a home like yours that is looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in city. And it's gotten a great response. Yes, Matt, we connect with Lofty as well. So I'll show you guys a little, we have a few more minutes at the end. I'll show you what that looks like. One of the things I want to make sure I give you that's really been valuable to the young team is our 5-star review and our Google presence. When you start generating listings out of your database, you realize the importance of actually your Google presence, your online presence, and what happens when people search for you. Because we're sending so much content to our database, when they get the content from our database, the first thing they normally do is Google the young team, okay? And when they Google the young team, this is what they see: 1,400 5-star reviews. Then they click on our website, theyoungteam.com, and they see get a home value, guaranteed offer, more than one option and way to sell your home. I am essentially leading them down this journey of me sending a lot of content with them, creating a lot of content for them over a long period of time, them trusting me based off the content that I'm sending. But then they go off and do their own journey. They don't just reach out to me. They start to do their own diligence naturally. When a friend tells you there's a great restaurant, normally you look up the restaurant. Maybe you go and look up their menu before you go. You don't just go and book a reservation. It's like when someone says, hey, this is a great movie, normally you go and look it up first, or what kind of movie, or who's in it, or whatever it may be. It's the same thing. They're looking at selling their largest asset. When you're sending them emails consistently and they're engaging with them, that's a great first start to when they're ready to start the process of who should I look for to help me sell my home. Well, now you've already kind of created this relationship. You have this brand equity in the relationship with them, this brand awareness. What do they see? If I were to Google each and every one of you, and if I was to say Matt Martin, real estate, James Clark, real estate, Shelley Farley, whatever area you live in, right? Like Ryan Young, Cleveland, Ryan Young, real estate, Ryan Young, realtor, Ryan Young, Ohio. See what comes up. Not everyone knows I'm the Young team, so sometimes they might just look at me by name. Google yourself and have this unbiased opinion of what it actually looks like to be a consumer and what they see when they Google you, okay? Here's why this is so important. When people Google me, they see 1,400 five-star reviews. They see this very clear journey and path to all these success stories on people I've helped sell their homes. There's instant credibility. So now they've been opening my content for a long period of time. They drive to Google or LLMs and they see the Young team is very credible and reputable. Then they go to my website and they see all this rich content. Do you see now why ultimately we're kicking out so many listings, right? So I have this 5-star hack for you guys, because here's what no one tells you about generating Google 5-star reviews. If I were to go, and let me see if I can comment here, yt5star.com. If you can go to yt5star.com, right? Here's what's going to happen. You are going to drive right to this dashboard with these 5 stars right here. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that on my screen, but you see these little 5 stars. Yep. Cool. No one says on Google that people that review you have to be people you've worked with historically, right? So like, for example, Miguel is in Arlington, VA. I might go and leave Miguel a 5-star review and saying, hey, Miguel is constantly investing in himself to be a better agent. He's invest time when most agents don't to jump on webinars to educate himself. If I was going to choose a realtor in Arlington, he would definitely be someone I considered. And I give him a 5-star review. When you look at the Young team's 5-star reviews, sure, we sell 450, 500 homes a year. There's a lot of our clients that give us 5-star reviews. But there's also friends that I have in the industry. And there's also friends that I have that don't live in Cleveland that have left me 5-star reviews. And all I do is I send this text message. We did a contest on the Young team that says, hey, we're having a contest. I need your help. You know how competitive I am. Whoever can get the most amount of 5-star reviews wins the contest. Go to yt5star.com. And I basically went and grabbed where this 5 stars is. I went to GoDaddy. I took out yt5star.com. I pointed it and directed it right to the 5 stars. Can you do me a favor if you're in the audience and you went to YT5star? Can you give me like a thumbs up or a yes if it took you directly to those 5 stars? Because it should be driving you right there if you're signed into Google. And I think like 65% of people are like always logged into Google because of Gmail and because of how they search their Google profile, stuff like that. Nick Monaco said yes. So Nick, if I sent you a text that said, can you do me a favor? Miguel said yes. I love it, right? So it works. If I said, could you do me a huge favor and go to YT5star and leave me a 5-star review, I would greatly appreciate it. The link is already hyperlinked on the text. All I have to do is literally click on it and it drives you to the 5 stars. Now, if you guys feel, this is a shameless ask, if you guys feel that this YT5star or anything I've talked to you about today is of value at all, I would be honored if you clicked on that 5th star on the right and just said something nice about me. Hey, Ryan's a giver to our industry. Super appreciate him. Or if I was looking for a realtor in Cleveland, I'd definitely give Ryan a call. This is how easy it is. The challenge is we make reviewing people so hard because I say, hey, Gary Jordan, do me a favor, man. When you get a chance, can you go Google the Young team, find the reviews, leave me a 5-star review. It's too much friction. I need to take this link, YT5star, and drive you right to where you see the 5 stars, okay? The reason why I've created the custom domain YT5star and Gary Jordan should do GJ 5-star or Gary 5-star, or, you know, whatever the team name is, 5-star. It's really important that your audience or the people you're sending this to actually leave you 5 stars. 4 stars are detrimental. And a lot of times people feel like 4 stars, no one's perfect, so I'll just leave you a 4-star. It is so important for us that we continue to generate these 5 stars because this is what the consumer looks at. So I always ask for the 5-star, and I even put 5-star in the domain to subliminally make them like 5-star. I got to give this guy a 5-star, right? And this is such a no-brainer for you guys. Like, I know this doesn't have to do with sold.com or Fello, but it's at least a way for me to give back. Like, go build your Google My Business profile. Go generate a lot of these reviews. I can promise you this is going to be one of the first steps when you start engaging with your database, and all these homeowners, they are going to look at this stuff, right? Someone taught me early on, and I think this is really valuable to understand the psychology of a buyer versus a seller. A seller Googles top agents in Northeast Ohio, in Cleveland, in whatever community you live in. A buyer searches homes for sale in, right? Buyers normally don't search for top agents. Buyers normally get partnered with agents when they're looking for homes on some of the big portals. Sellers don't search for homes, they search for agents. When they are thinking about listing their home, they are going to say, I'm looking for a top agent in Northeast Ohio who has a lot of success, who sold a lot of homes. What do they find when they are looking for you, right? All the strategy I did just brought you in front of them, got your brand in front of them, but I want to make sure that there's credibility and you can play offense and not defense when they're reaching out. I want to make sure that if they're talking to you, but they're also talking to the young team, look at how much instant credibility I have when someone Googles me, 1,500 5-star reviews, ready to go. It's instant credibility, right? So it's like, I want to help you guys build your profile. Once again, I don't have any stock or ownership in Google. I just think it's been a really big game changer for the young team. And I'd highly recommend you guys run that play. It's a no-brainer. And if I can help you in any way on that, I'm here for it because I want to make sure we as an industry win together and start bringing profit into our industry, and that profit sits in our database. So I'll wrap up for you guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. But basically, here's what Fello does. Fello takes your database. It's like a partner to your CRM. We sync your CRM into Fello. We enrich it with all this really great data. We start automating all of this messaging that starts to create your brand, start to create engagement. And then ultimately, the goal is to have conversations with engaged homeowners. And then we show you this really incredible data that kind of basically it starts to create accountability and starts to show you what's actually happening in your business, and it's a game changer. Miguel, I love your question. How long before we start seeing results with Fello? This is a loaded question, and here's why. If you sign up for Fello today, you're not going to generate a listing tomorrow. I want to be very transparent with you. The seller game is very different than the buyer game, okay? What happens with Fello is we have to first build up a massive pipeline of sellers and homeowner engagement. I would say realistically that takes 90 days, okay? By day 90, you should feel very good that you have now enough homeowners that you're having conversations with to start converting them into opportunities, okay? From days 90 to 180, this is where we continue to create engagement, but you really need to start working the opportunities that we created in the first 90 days and start leveraging all this data to start converting them into listings. Once you get on the back half of 6 months, Fello should forever be net positive for you, because homeowners that we created in day one, some of them are going to transact in 9 months, 12 months, 24 months. So it's like one of those things that it's like we start to, like the young team, I still see people that have engaged from 2 years ago, 3 years ago that we're now listing with, right? And so it's like one of those things that it's like once you turn the corner on when it turns from engagement, which is top of funnel, then it works its way down to bottom of funnel, then you're ready to start transacting. Now you're working all the bottom of funnel while more top of funnel is being built and working its way down while we're driving more into the top of funnel. And you create this beautiful flywheel that, once again, when I show you kind of the young team's business, is how we built it. Sandy said, how about the context that you recently were engaged with a transaction? What do they see from me? So here's what's so cool about it. Sandy, first off, you can say, I don't want to send anyone who's bought a home in the last 6 months or 12 months. Or you can customize what you see, like because we have all the MLS data, we can say if the MLS date or if the last sale date was less than 12 months ago, don't send them any information. Or what you could say is, if the last sale date was less than 12 months ago, only send them a piece of information once a month or once every 3 months until they get to 12 months. Then we want to go twice a month, right? Or you could say, only send these people this type of content, but don't send them the same cadence of people don't send them the same cadence of everyone else. Higher intent. Richard said, how do I get to the 5-star site directly? Richard, if you go to, and I'll turn this into a little Google 5-star masterclass real quick. Do me a favor, scan this QR code if you want more information. We can get you pricing. I also have a special $100 onboarding. So you'll save $13.99 on onboarding if you come in through this QR code. Or if you reference sold.com on the demo. Want to make sure we take great care of our people. Scan the QR code. It's a no-brainer. Like I said, one sale from Fello will pay for it for, depending on your average price point, I guess I should say. Here in Northeast Ohio, average price points around $350. One sale from Fello takes care of Fello for a couple years. It's not a magic pill. You still got to make the phone call, right? We, though, create all this engagement and start shaking up your database and working and giving you the people to have a conversation with. That's ultimately like, you know, we bring you 75% there. You just got to make the phone calls and have a conversation with them. All right. Real quick before we wrap, let me give some, Richard Hoover said, how do you get the sync link directly? All you do is you click on this right here on the reviews. All right. Let me sort this by news. Oh, what's up, Shelly? Nick, my man, I appreciate you. Ethan, thank you so much, guys, for leaving me a 5-star review. It means so much. How cool is that? Like, we just went up 3 5-star reviews, right? If you, by the way, drop, if you want to drop your link in here, I'm happy to reciprocate and get you one. Basically, for Richard, who asked, where do you get that link? When you click write a review right here, I know you can't see my URL, but you just grab the URL once you click on this, okay? Miguel, don't worry. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to populate, but I appreciate you, my friend. So now all of a sudden, it's like you just go to this write a review right here, and you just literally grab that URL once this is displayed, and it'll drive right over to you, okay? So was this helpful for you guys? Kind of this concept. I know I went off the rails a little bit on the Google play, but like, do you guys see how the young team kind of runs the business that we do? We built a very big database. We've worked really hard on that database to essentially work it through Fello, enriching it with all this rich data. Then we have this great online presence. I kind of gave you guys the playbook on that one. You know, I'm hoping this is of value. And like I said, I want to give to our industry as much as I can. Hey, shout out to Joyce, who already grabbed it. I just left you a 5-star review. That's awesome. Joyce England, great job. I just left you a 5-star review. That's how easy it is. Isn't this fun? Nicholas, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. So relevant just generally to the industry. A few things came to mind as you were talking through some stuff. First, like all those leads, like I agree, like shiny new lead. I mean, I work in marketing and partnerships. The same thing with me. When I have a new company that's like, hey, I want to, work with sold.com, you're jumping on it, but there has to be that nurturing. So all of those dormant leads, like you probably paid some money for that. So that's part of using tools like Fello is like earning your ROI on those leads that became dormant. The other thing I heard was around the reviews. That is, becoming more and more important. the digital age that we're living in. We did a webinar back in December around branding and how websites are moving away from property listing like ecosystems to more about like the branded aspect of the agent and how much more important that is. So not only are they, confirming you are who you say you are in social, and that has to be on point, but also your website and Google reviews are super, super important. So I'm really happy that you dug into that. As far as everyone on the call, we're going to pass Ryan, your email so he can send over the playbook that he was talking about. And then the recording of the webinar will go out shortly in the next hour or so. And it looks like the link I shared didn't work, but I can. Do you have the link for the QR code that you shared? Because my slide out promotion, the link didn't work.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll also share it again in the follow-up email.
Yeah, here, give me one sec.
But Joyce
man, I'm sitting here leaving all these people reviews. I'm freaking out. I'm panicking. Hold on.
No, that's so awesome. Like I've actually never heard of someone having a strategy like the one you described.
I just left Nick Monaco a 5-star review. We're rolling now, people. This is what community is all about.
Yeah.
Grab this real quick, and I'll put it in the. I don't know why that's the wrong link, but it is the right link.
And the thing I think that you built was something very intent. Like you said, like you had a business, you were looking for a solution, you built a solution, and you want to share that solution with the community. But you paid very, very close attention to how you can execute it to get the results you want. So like, getting the domain name with the 5-star, like that's the kind of methodical thinking that agents have to adopt, because 70% of agents didn't do a transaction last year. So there's a massive disproportionate success in the industry. So any kind of advantage you can find, utilize it. And you're starting in a good place. Like these education sessions from sold.com, like these are free, these are to help your business. So
100%. And one other thing real quick, I actually didn't realize, but if you guys, highly recommend this right here too. I must have skipped past this. Check this out. If you guys do any, what's up, Shannon? Love Shannon. She's awesome. If you do expireds, we have this really cool expired listing playbook that works really well. I remember Shannon. Sorry, I'm commenting. I'm having two conversations at the same time. This is a great playbook on expireds. If you do expireds, highly recommend it. And it looks like I put, like I said, the wrong sold.com in here. Let me make sure I get the right one so you guys get the right discount. So here's the sold.com. And yeah, guys, you do this. It's not rocket science. It works though. And, all I got to say is like, just execute, and you don't have to spend more money. You don't have to, buy a crazy amount of leads. Like, work with what you got, convert the opportunities that you're getting. And it's like, you will see your profit margins increase, your business will grow. And that's what it's all about. So grateful for all you guys, and whatever I can do to help, I'm here for it. Let's keep the dialogue going. So appreciate y'all. Have a great one.
Thanks for everyone for joining, and the recording will be out shortly.
Thanks, guys.